Who throws a shoe? Honestly.
Ladies and gentlemen, hey yo, the story of our demise was greatly exaggerated.
That's
back!
your entrance. That's your entrance.
That is our entrance after for our triumphant return. Listen, what I want to do, Ryan, you're gonna love this.
I can't wait.
Ross, do you remember when we were watching WrestleMania over at your house when we were still in Tucson? And
What?
the Hardy Boys came back.
Oh yeah, the Hardy Boys.
We lost our shit because we're fucking marks. And we love that shit.
We're awesome. Yeah, we're back a couple weeks. Ryan's been busy with work. Jimmy was a little under the weather with the Rona.
I caught the Rona.
He had the Rona. So
I caught the Rona. I'm doing fine. I'm good to go. I'm back 100% now. So
that's awesome. And I've just been busy. Hey, before we get started, getting into sports and everything, I do just want to give a little tidbit. Not really a shout out, just kind of thoughts and prayers. Keontae Johnson, University of Florida basketball player. SEC preseason SEC player of the year, fantastic basketball player. On Saturday, I think it was just walking back to the huddle and collapsed on the floor. He is now
after a big dunk, right? He posted somebody and
he's now in an induced coma, still in the ICU. So hope not just for basketball, but for him and his family. Hope that kid pulls through.
100%.
100%. So, absolutely.
Do they know something?
They don't know. Well, they thought it was his heart originally, and then they couldn't figure it out, and then they thought it was something with his brain. That's why they put him into a induced coma. Read a little bit this afternoon, said that he is awake now and following simple commands, but nothing like crazy. Just thoughts and prayers out to that guy and his family and friends, and hope full recovery and the best for him. So had to get that seriousness out of the way before we start yakking.
Yeah.
I'm going to bring it right into Penn State right as.
Oh my God! If you swear to God, if you do.
But hey, it sucks for him that it took for him to collapse to find. Obviously, there's an issue with him that could have been found earlier. I mean, it's so hard to find these things a lot of the times. I have a good friend that had a brain aneurysm a long time ago, and it's ticking time bombs. You can't find them. You just hope that they can find these things before these athletes are out there, with their hearts pumping as hard as they can go. I mean, they're pretty crazy, but hopefully he's okay. And
we talk sports here, but we've said it many times, especially with some of the things. There's a lot of things more important than sports. Definitely hope the best for that kid. If it took this for them to find, like you're saying, Ryan, like maybe if he wasn't playing sports, they wouldn't have found it till it was too late. So maybe it took this for them to find some underlying issue. Right. It sucks, but at least they found it now, and they could get him better. So
that's what I mentioned Penn State because Journey Brown. They luckily just by happenstance found an issue with his heart, and he had to retire because of it. And I thank God every day. It's like thank God they found it before he got worse or whatever, or had something happen on the field, and
absolutely.
So let's get into it.
Yeah, so let's get into it with college football. Obviously, we got a lot of stuff going on. The biggest thing right now is, this weekend is the conference championship. So we got some fantastic games. I do want to talk to real quick. Did y'all see the shoe toss?
I did.
Oh yeah, Florida, yeah.
And for those of you who don't understand, I usually try and pick something that signifies something that happened through the week or something that we talk about during the podcast. And this one, it was very obvious as to what I was going to pick. The name of this episode is going to be "Who Throws a Shoe?" Honestly.
Yeah,
that was so dumb.
First off, I've watched a lot of football in my life. I have never seen that, and especially never seen it where it causes somebody to game. Like the guy who threw the helmet way back
The
when for the
offensive
Saints.
lineman. Yeah. I can't remember his name, but he was a big
Hurley.
hog.
Was it Hurley?
Oh yeah. It was the guy, the white dude with
Kyle
long hair.
Turley. Was it Kyle
Turley?
Turley?
Yeah, Turley. I mean, so he did that, was obviously was crazy, but it didn't result in the game-winning field goal. Like this literally cost his team the game. The kid is a redshirt junior. He knows better than to do this. Like this is I get getting caught up in the moment, but come on, man. Like you're about to give the Heisman Trophy at the time winner in my mind the ball back with 1:45 left.
True.
I think a Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, and Vontaze Burfict. And there was was it a wild card game or something like that?
It was a wild card game. Burfict had
Cincinnati had that game in the bag, and Burfict.
Yeah. Cincinnati had that game in the bag. It was a multitude of things. It was Burfict's hit on Antonio Brown, knocked him out, knocked him into the nether realm. Yeah, because then he went completely crazy after that. And then I think it was.
Drake so did Antonio Brown. Yeah.
Well, it was Drake or Patrick, and
Vontaze got him on the same level. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and then Joey Porter was out on the field, and it was a whole thing. And it moved them closer, and then they had one more play, got into field goal range, and won.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that game in general was fantastic. That game in general, fun game. It was great.
What was Florida's playoff hopes before the shoe toss? Like
a shot.
Well, they had a shot. A lot of it depended on, obviously they're going to play Bama. If they beat Bama, they're obviously in. If they lose to Alabama, it would have depended on what happened with Notre Dame and Clemson.
The other thing is too.
If Notre Dame beat Clemson, and then so now you're looking at a 2-loss Clemson team and a 2-loss Florida team.
Yeah,
and that's going to be up in the air.
So the way I look at it is LSU's bad, really bad.
Very bad.
Right.
They're bad.
If Florida's
done.
A shoe toss away from beating LSU, even if Florida wins that game, do they even have a chance against Alabama?
No, they don't.
No.
Okay, so I mean, this whole thing, this is where that's what I kind of wanted to get to, because I wasn't. Yeah. He did cost them the game. I mean, they still had a chance to go down and kick a field goal to send it in overtime. Like obviously, it didn't help that he threw the shoe, but going forward, I don't know if even if Florida beats LSU in that game, I don't think Florida stands a chance against Alabama.
No, absolutely, I don't think they do. But like even now, even if Florida beats Alabama, I don't think they get in.
Yeah.
I think Alabama's in regardless.
I think Alabama stays ahead of them.
Alabama's in regardless. I think at that point, I mean, I'm banking on Ohio State beating Northwestern. Just kind of banking on that one. So Ohio State's in.
By the
Alabama.
way,
you started this by saying there's a bunch of good championship games. That's not one of them.
That's
not one of them.
No, that one is not one of them.
Ohio State is pissed, and people keep talking so much crap. They're like, "Oh yeah, watch this."
Yeah,
watch this.
Go ahead, Ross. I need to get caught up on the whole Ohio State situation, because I said, I've been out of the loop here in the past 2 weeks.
Oh, you're good. But so we'll talk about like the playoff, and there are some really good conference championships. We will get in. We'll start with the Big Ten, and that's your boys. Northwestern, Ohio. Ohio's coming in as a 21-point favorite. Northwestern, don't get me wrong, they're the number 14 team in the country. If you look at what they've done, they're not the number 14 team in the country.
They lost to Michigan State.
Well, they lost to Michigan State. They beat Purdue by like 5. They haven't blown. Hold on a second. I'll tell you exactly what they've done, minus the first game where they played Maryland, and they spanked Maryland pretty good, 43-3. They beat Iowa by 1, Nebraska by 7, Purdue by 7, Wisconsin, who's not that great, by 10, lost to Michigan State, and beat Illinois by 18, but Illinois is absolutely dog shit. So that does not scream 14th team in the country at all.
People like to say, oh, it's because they got Peyton Ramsey, who Peyton Ramsey is not a bad quarterback out of Indiana. But, I mean, he's been playing all year. He's thrown for 1,200 yards, 9 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions.
Right.
That's nothing.
Go ahead, Ryan.
I honestly think Ohio State beats them by 20. I know the spread's over 20. I got to give a little credit to Northwestern, though. I don't want to bang on them too much. Give them credit. Maybe they're not. Yeah, maybe they're
wins
not the 14th team in the country.
Sure.
But
they've won
off a bunch of wins. They lost to Michigan State. Michigan State's not very good, so it doesn't look good. But
No,
But,
and
I
I
mean-
agree. They're 6-1. They did go 6-1. Got to give them props for that. But when I see the number 14 next to their name, I'm like,
the one thing they
I
have
like
going
it.
for you that they
Makes Ohio
lack in
State look
talent,
better.
because Northwestern always lacks talent. I mean, it's just guaranteed.
Yeah.
One thing they have, their coach was Pat
Fitzgerald. Yeah.
This
He had a
is, I
rough
mean, these
year
are the
last year.
seasons that he's built for. He's built for
Yeah.
adversity. He's like, hey, we've been here, we've done this. Like, we don't have the talent, we don't have these
Yeah.
studs. Like, but we're going to be well coached and disciplined, and we're going to go out and win games. And that's
Northwestern.
That's why Northwestern strived this year. Yeah.
Yeah, that's their MO. When you get a Northwestern team that is loaded with upperclassmen, that has a lot of experience, they've got the coaching because they got Pat Fitzgerald there. He's gonna have them ready to play. He always has them ready to play.
Yeah.
And they're gonna be tough. They're gonna be tough.
Yeah, they I mean, they are. They usually play well. It just, to me, it's. I mean, Ryan,
they don't have the depth.
You've talked about this pretty much all season, except for the first 2 weeks because we're all in shock. But how down the Big Ten is this year.
Yeah.
Looking at it, you guys have 12 teams, right?
14
teams. Of your 14 teams, 4 of them have more than 3 wins. The rest have 3 wins or less.
Correct.
Yeah, pretty bad.
That is bad.
Actually, to bring Penn State in, because I always bring Penn State in. If neutral field, whatever, like Penn State Northwestern, like, what do you guys think of that?
We'll see. What's
crazy about it is this is the winner of the West in the Big Ten.
Right.
Like,
so
and as bad as Penn State's been all year, like, that goes to show how good Northwestern is, which is not very good.
Right.
Like, that's a toss up in my opinion.
The reason that I'll give it a toss up with Penn State, and I'll pretty much say any game with Penn State is a toss up. It's because I watched from the middle of the first quarter till the last 4 minutes of the Penn State. Like, when you guys got that last touchdown, it was over. I was like, all right, this one's over. Like, whatever.
Against Michigan State this week?
Yeah.
Okay.
Still not impressed with your run game.
But running game was really bad this week.
Even with Noah Cain coming back next year, you all need to build your offense around Dotson,
a new quarterback,
and Washington. Those 2 guys on the outside.
Parker Washington, borderline Big Ten freshman of the year. He's a stud. Like,
those 2 on the outside are so talented.
Yeah.
And so while I'll say that you guys are the most toss-up is because it's going to ride on Clifford being able to throw the ball well. Michigan State, he threw the ball well. You guys blew him out of the water. Other games, he has not.
So I'll give a little bit of leeway to the run game, because this week's run game wasn't good. The past 2 weeks against Michigan and against Rutgers, run game looked really well. Kayvon Lee got Big Ten Freshman of the Week a couple weeks ago. He had over 100 yards. He looked like a stud. This week, I think Michigan State had a game plan of stopping the run. And
we did talk about this like a little bit. Just saying, Michigan and Rutgers were like ranked in the 80s in defense. Michigan State is I think before this week. So I don't know after what Penn State. Before that, I think they were ranked like 47th. So they are better defense, not fantastic, but better. I think against Illinois, I think you guys will run all over them. But regardless, next year,
without Lovie Smith too,
you need to get a guy who can throw the ball decently. We've talked about that. But Dotson and Washington on the out-side, those kids are talented. They're
really good. Yeah,
I like those guys.
Tight ends are good. So it's kind of weird. I feel. When was the last time we had a podcast? Did Penn State? I guess did we have it 3 weeks ago when Penn State won their first game?
It was right after Iowa. We did not have it after Michigan.
Yeah, we had. It was the Sunday before I left it was the Sunday before Thanksgiving.
So if you haven't heard, Penn State was 0-5, and now we're 3-5. So Penn State
you play Illinois this week, which I think should be a win.
You should win against Illinois.
And then we get a bowl game and
Illinois without Lovie Smith.
And to Ross, we've talked offline about this. I'm happy about the 3 wins. It is against Rutgers, a really bad Michigan team, and a really bad Michigan State team. But I mean, I could say that about the whole Big Ten besides Ohio State. Like I said, if Penn State win and beat Northwestern, I would not be surprised. I think they're up there with the quality of Northwestern this year. It's like
Indiana
record
would have been
say
good.
it, but I think they've righted the ship. They've figured it out. I think They started to do the things right. I don't think they're an elite team by any means. I don't think they're a playoff team. I don't think they're a Big Ten championship team. But I think the things that we were looking forward to coming into the year, I think they're starting to figure those things out.
I'd say you guys have some building blocks for next year.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You have some building blocks. I think the biggest surprise for me with Penn State, and I'll end this and we move on from Penn State, but granted you lost Micah Parsons, but your defense is bad. Your defense is third worst in points allowed in the Big Ten.
The past 3 weeks, it's been pretty good.
It's been better.
I know we had a bad quarter against Michigan State this week, or just literally one bad quarter.
Yeah, one quarter they put up 21. I was sitting there like, Jesus Christ, Penn State.
I think they put up a field goal or two at besides that. But, I mean, the defense looked good besides that. Obviously, there's things to fix and all those things. But
yeah, the defense is not nearly what I was expecting it to be. Penn State usually puts a very even losing Micah Parsons, which is arguably the best defensive player in the country. I still expect you guys to put a better defense on the field. Penn State always has a defense. That's kind of what you guys do. You always have a defense regardless. So
scheme in general.
Yep, and I'll say Penn State they've helped their fans out a little bit because they've given their fans something to look forward to next year. Obviously, this year's a wash for us, and it's not a great year. When you go back and you look at it, it's going to be a terrible year to look at. You don't want to we might finish 5-5 and finish 500, and it's going to be a terrible, terrible year for Penn State. But we got a lot of building blocks and a lot of things to look forward to next year. So
right, yeah. Well, and I do think, like Jimmy and I were talking about, I do think we were talking a little bit when they were 0-5 of is the seat Heaton for Franklin, and he's definitely cooled that off.
Seat a little bit. Yeah,
he's cooled it off. Yeah,
it's cool. So
finish out these last two games because there's a good chance you guys could get a bowl.
Oh yeah,
I don't know how the bowl's going to work.
Yeah, they'll get a bowl. I see us going 5-0 to finish the year, which is going to have a lot of momentum going into next year. It helps recruiting a lot. Like we landed a pretty good wide receiver in the past week, and I mean that helps. Like if you all of a sudden you go 0-7 or 0-6 or 0-8 or whatever it is, it gets kind of dire, and you don't really have anything to look forward to. So Penn State's done a good job of kind of turning it around and putting a good team out there.
So speaking of that, here's a funny thing: if the Big Ten had decided to stick to their guns and they weren't going to let Ohio State into the championship game,
be Indiana.
It would not have been Indiana because Indiana's dealing with a COVID spike right now.
Oh well, they would have been up, but they would have.
Yeah, because they missed out. They got their Indiana Purdue game got canceled this last week. So if they were not able to be able to put that in control. Do you know who would be playing Northwestern in the Big Ten championship game this week?
Maryland.
No, Penn State.
I'm literally looking at the standings. It's Maryland. I'm looking at the standings right now on ESPN. It's Maryland.
Oh. I was gonna say.
Didn't they get canceled too?
I mean, if they got canceled, then you're at that point you're getting to the fourth
team.
They're
2-2.
Okay,
so it's Maryland. Maryland's next.
Last thing I'll say about Penn State, and not too many teams in the country can say this, is Penn State's played every game, and it has to. I mean, it's a 50-50 thing. The other team that they're playing has to be good to go when it comes to COVID and everything, but none of the games got canceled. They put that team out there every day.
Yeah, that's true.
I have to give props to Penn State's coaching staff and all that thing to keeping things under control, not letting a COVID outbreak happen. And it was good to see, the full schedule of Penn State this year. And
I am jealous. I am definitely jealous of Penn State for that because I've only got to see 5 Ohio State games and I've only got to see one game in a month. So I didn't get to see the game.
So speaking of that, enough Penn State. Let's actually get to the big games this week. Ohio State, Northwestern.
Yeah.
Ohio State did get the waiver. I have read all over the internet, as everybody has. There's very mixed feelings, and it seems like if you're not a scarlet and silver or whatever the hell your colors are, then you're pissed off. I am absolutely fine with it.
So break that down for me. So what exactly happened?
So Ohio State needed the Big Ten came and said they needed 6 games to make the Big Ten championship.
This is in September.
Yeah, so this is way back when. So Ohio State, since Michigan canceled their game, Ohio State was 5-0. They did not have 6 games. But the thing is, and I think this is why the Big Ten allowed them in, is even if Ohio State would have played Michigan and lost by 100, they still would have made the Big Ten championship. That 6 game didn't matter. It just had to happen, and then Ohio State would have been there. So the Big Ten came in and said, okay, no, we're going to waive this 6-game thing to let Ohio State in the Big Ten championship because the 6th game doesn't matter. Like all they had to do was happen.
And I'm totally okay with that because when you break it down, I'll let Jimmy jerk off his Ohio State team in a second. But all I'll say is that take a look at it from the outside. What makes sense? Who's the best team in the Big Ten by far?
Right.
Like hands down, who is the best? Like everyone else sucks. Literally everyone else sucks except for Ohio State.
So my thing is though, since the game literally the game wouldn't have mattered, I'm fine with Ohio State going in. To me, if it was a win you're in, lose, I would not have been okay with it. We just saw Florida get upset by LSU. Crazier shit has happened before than Ohio State. So if it was a win you're in, lose you're out, I was like, I don't know if you could just say you're in. But with it not even mattering, it's like all they had to do was kick the ball off and kneel the ball 300 times and the game's over, tie 0-0. Ohio State's in.
Right, and kind of pick apart my point. Like if before the year we all said Ohio State's the best team and by far the best team in the Big Ten. Like,
right,
they still got to go out there and play the games. They still got to prepare every week. So I get the argument, I guess, a little bit, but
so
there's a lot of things outside of Ohio State's control, like Michigan like Michigan pulling a.
It wasn't just, and that's the thing. It wasn't just
Florida
Michigan
State or whatever, you know.
It wasn't just Michigan. It was Michigan and it was Maryland. The only game that was canceled because of an issue of COVID at Ohio State was Illinois, and they still tried to play that game.
Right.
But their numbers got too high, and they reached the threshold, and they weren't going to be able to play.
Yeah.
They still tried to, and then they were still able to come back and play against Michigan State. So they only missed 1 week because of COVID within the within the Ohio State program.
Okay, so it wasn't just the football team; it was more of the city of Columbus, or
no? It was the team,
coaching staff, everybody.
Coaching, yeah. It was like 24 players and like Ryan Day.
It was like 7 coaches. I thought
it was a lot of coaches. Yeah,
Jimmy Irwin.
I did not go. I was not able to make the game.
So Ohio State has a pretty clear path to the college football playoff.
Right.
They go play their bowl.
They win the champion. They win the Big Ten championship. They're in. That's my opinion. A lot of people like Dan Mullins and Dabo Sweeney don't agree with that. But
they're dumb. Well, so unless you guys really want to, I'm not going to dive into Ohio State Northwestern. We'll talk about it with the picks, but that game's pretty easy.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. Yeah, let's wait for the picks because it's one of the.
Yeah,
can I ask one thing? What did Dabo and Dan Mullins say?
All right. Well, so first off, Dabo came out and said, if I was on the committee, it'd be hard for me to pick a team that's played 10 games and has 1 or 2 losses over a team that's played 5 and has no losses. And then Dan Mullen came out after they won, and he was like, well, I guess maybe next year we should just play 6 games because obviously that's enough to get you into the playoff.
Okay.
You're right.
Yeah. Yeah. By the way, Ohio State never said anything.
Right. No, they should.
Nope. Ohio State still hasn't said anything about it.
Yeah.
You go out there, you blow Northwestern out by 30, and then you go to the playoffs.
That's one of the reasons that I love. And Ross, you can probably agree with me with having Lincoln Riley because Lincoln Riley is very common in the same way.
Yeah.
He doesn't talk crap.
Nope.
He talks on the field.
Yeah.
Yep.
And James Franklin, kind of when he started off, he was a guy who liked to, put up bulletin board material.
That was 2016. He had a little bit of a gripe. I was 50-50, even being a Penn State fan, I was 50-50 on it. So I understand during that whole thing. I understand it. Like Ohio State getting in ahead of them, even though we beat Ohio State and win the Big Ten championship. Yeah. It's a little different, but
it is different. And I agree. 2016 was a weird situation.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Anyway, but
moving on, we're going to go with other. So Iowa State, OU. That's other Notre Dame. Ohio State and OU, the Big Ten and Big 12 championship, both the 11 o'clock kickoff. Joy, so I can only watch the Big 12 championship, obviously. But I think Iowa State, OU.
So weird that it's
very good
11 for the Big Ten. Normally it's like a night game.
Yeah, I think that OU Iowa State is incredibly interesting. OU is playing a lot better than they were.
Something I noticed, by the way, can I bring up about Oklahoma real quick?
What?
Right now, in terms of yardage allowed for the country, Oklahoma's ranked 17th in the country.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Their defense is a lot better. A lot better.
You're going to lose Grinch.
I don't think we're going to lose. I don't think we're going to lose
next year, but soon.
Yeah, I think he'll only be there for another year or two. But I mean, don't get me wrong. OU's been playing great. We've been talking about OU, and Ryan, like we've said it. Like I think OU can pretty much go toe to toe with anybody in the country, literally anybody in the country. Iowa State is good. Iowa State is very, very good.
They are a solid, good team all around. They just
Matt Campbell has
great at they're great at running back.
Yeah, Breece Hall is a stud, an absolute stud, and their defense is very good and solid. I mean, I think OU is a more talented team. OU should go in and win that game, but if they go in and pussyfoot around for a quarter or two, they're going to be in hurt because Iowa State will not joke around. They'll pop them in the mouth. Yeah. And Iowa State, and that's why if OU gets behind Iowa State, and they've proved it the last couple of years playing OU, they will run the ball and run the ball and run the ball and just keep OU's offense off the field. And that's pretty much how you people beat us the last couple of years, unless you're LSU and you have the all-world team. So I think that game's going to be very interesting. And one thing I want to bring up, and granted I'm a little Big 12 homer, but to me I think this is Iowa State getting zero respect. They're ranked 7th in the country. They're about to go up against number 11 Oklahoma, which they could win. They showed on what game? It was the last game that I was watching. Oh, it was the Florida LSU game. They're showing the best percentages to make the college football playoff, right? Mm-hmm. They showed the top, I think it was 14 teams. Iowa State was not in the top 14 teams in percentage. Iowa State has less than 1% to make the playoff. Indiana has an 11% chance to make the playoff.
Right now?
Yes. And Iowa State, who is one win away from the Big 12 championship as number 7. Well, they're number 7 now. They're going to move to 6 at least because Florida's going to fall out.
Oh, yeah.
And they're going to have right now they have less than 1%. Granted, even if they win, I think that it's going to be hard to put them in, but to have them less than 1%, and
I'd have Indiana, who definitely doesn't have a shot. Indiana, who definitely doesn't have a shot.
Yeah, Indiana has no shot.
Yeah, and so that's what, when I read that, and they were talking about it. The announcers were like, "Why is Iowa State nowhere on that list?" Like, granted, they got to play Oklahoma.
Well, they do it by percentages, so they got to have some sort of broken ass algorithm.
Yeah, but I just want to say, and they brought it up today on Sports Talk Radio and it's kind of a thing that they brought up of Iowa State and but they also brought up the Bills. They've been bad for so long that when they're good, you're like, yeah, they've won 10 games, and you come up for reasons why they're not that good.
Yeah.
And then the good teams, if they start off bad, they're like, yeah, but they can put it together. They'll be fine. They'll be fine. Yeah. And I think Iowa State just kind of has that. I mean, they've been shit for a long time before Matt Campbell. They're absolute trash. And I think that's a lot in people's brains. So,
you didn't like Seneca Wallace?
Hey,
running around back there.
He finished them in the top 10. I remember they went to a BCS bowl, but yeah, just want to say Iowa State's getting no respect at all. I mean, I'm not betting on the
and a part of that is I'm upset that Oklahoma has 2 losses because I think Oklahoma's going to win that game.
I do.
And if they have 1 loss, but their 1 loss is Iowa State and they avenge it, I think there's a definite shot for them to make the playoffs. But sitting there at 2 losses,
we're out. Well, and
rough. It's
even
rough.
if we win by 50, we're at 11. We ain't jumping from 11 to 4 with a game. That's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
We're out. And granted, the bowl game that they have OU in right now, I'm pumped. I mean, it's a Cotton Bowl. They have OU versus Florida in the Cotton Bowl.
Ooh,
I think that would be a lot of fun. That'd be a fun game.
No.
So we got that. We talked a little bit about Alabama and Florida. Yeah, I don't think Florida's going to stand a chance. Their best chance is kind of do what Ole Miss did and just go quick and try to put up 60 and see if you can force Alabama into turnovers. I mean, I don't know.
I don't know. I don't think so. Well, if you look at the offenses, you got Ole Miss is not as good as Florida's because Florida has more players. in particular Kyle Trask and Pitts, and they can't run the ball though.
No. So yeah, I don't think,
and it's Alabama who is at this point easily, unanimously the number one team in the country right now.
Yeah.
They're playing that way, right?
Yeah, they're
humming along, man. People haven't really talked about Alabama this year. I mean, they got pretty.
They're loaded.
Heisman candidates all over the field, and it's like
this
is one of those weird
Devontae
years
Smith,
where you don't
Najee
even
Harris. You
think
got
about
3 possible Heisman finalists.
Yeah, they're ridiculous, and they lost one of their best receivers in Waddle at week 5.
Yeah, it didn't matter.
Yeah, I know they lost one of their best weapons, and they're still just humming along.
Mm-hmm.
So not much in that game. However, let's say the big one, the afternoon game on Saturday, rematch Notre Dame Clemson.
That's the big one.
That's the big one. Yeah.
That's the big one. I do think if Clemson wins, Notre Dame and Clemson are both getting in. I do. I think if Notre Dame beats Clemson for a second time, depends on what happens with everything else. We'll see. I don't think A&M's going to get in, and I don't think they deserve to be in.
No.
And the reason I say
A&M
that
would have to jump. A&M would have to jump Ohio State if Ohio State wins their game,
right,
which we all agree they'll probably do. But
like Ryan, you talked about it like with I think it was you, Ryan. That was like Florida played LSU. They don't belong in the college football playoff. Like losing to LSU, kind of on that same thing. It was one game, and A&M's only lost one game, but they got their chance against the top tier team in Alabama, and they got taken to the woodshed, and they got the piss beat out of them. When that happens, I'm like, yeah, you just proved you don't belong with those big boys.
Yeah.
Like if they would have kept it within 7, maybe 14, okay, good bad happens, like a couple things. But when you get smashed, like, no, you just proved you don't belong to be there with Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State. No, you don't belong.
And you know what's sad? So I know Jesus Christ, BYU lost. Did Cincinnati lose?
No.
Nope.
So Cincinnati's not in the conversation anymore? I know we taled about it in previous podcasts. Like,
nope. Cincinnati, they're not. Well,
considering the logjam of Power 5 teams at the top, probably not. The only thing you would need chaos.
I really want to see that. Like not the same reason. Like I said in the first podcast, not the same reason that everyone else wants to see it. I don't want to see. Yeah.
Here's my
Cincinnati go out there and get smoked. That's all.
Here's my official prediction, and I'm going to put it out on Facebook. I think since Gus Malzahn just got fired, made $20 million by doing that. By the way, 21.5. Yeah, just got fired. I think Auburn goes and gets Matt Campbell. I think
he's not on the list.
No,
he's not on the list.
No, he's not. It's Sarkisian and
Cristobal. And Hugh Freeze.
Yeah, Hugh Freeze.
Hugh Freeze again. Wait, didn't he just get nominated to Congress? Who was that?
No,
that was Tommy Tuberville.
Yeah. For Matt Campbell, from what I've read, and they're not informed. They said the one team that Matt Campbell's very interested in, if it becomes available and if he gets called, is Michigan.
Interesting. Well, I mean, I don't see that happening soon because Michigan just offered an extension.
Take that with a grain of salt.
I love it, man. I love it.
Did they really? Wait. Catch me up on all this.
So, okay, well, it's the same thing, and I told Jimmy it's the same thing when Ohio State gave Urban Meyer an extension when he was towards the end. I was like, he's not going to finish that contract. They gave Harbaugh an extension, and that's what all teams do. Programs like their coaches to have 3+ years on their contract. That way, when they go recruit players, they're like, yes, I'm going to be there your entire career. If the coach has only got 1 year, it's kind of hard to be like, hey, come play for us. I don't know if I'm going to be there, but come on. So they just gave Harbaugh a extension to have 4+ years at a lowered price, at a lower buyout, so it's easier to buy them out. But that's strictly for recruiting. That's all that shit is, just for recruiting.
So what do you think? They're going to extend him and then fire him?
Yes. I think they're going to extend him. He might play, get half the season in. If they're like 2-2 or 3-3, he's going to get the axe.
How does all this shit work then? If you're a kid if you're a kid that's just getting recruited or is on Michigan State staff right now, like, wouldn't you rather have Matt Campbell there? Like, wouldn't you look at
I brought that up.
Yeah, the
I brought
trajectory
that
of what,
up.
yeah, like what trajectory of what Harbaugh has done, and
Yeah,
maybe
I
he's
was having
recruited guys and
conversations-
said, "Hey, we're doing this," but like, wouldn't you want to have this young stud coach come in like Matt Campbell and say, "Okay, I want to play for that guy. I saw what he did at Cincinnati or wherever, you know, like I want to go play for that guy. Like, no matter if Harbaugh recruited me or not, like."
All right, hey, so side note, backing up, I found that playoff predictor. Okay, like talking about where. So Alabama's at 98, which damn near should be 100. Ohio State's at 85. Notre Dame's at 64. Clemson's at 53. Okay, they have A&M at 30. Cincinnati at 24. Indiana at 17. Florida at 15. USC at 7. Coastal Carolina.
USC.
Coastal Carolina at 2. And Iowa State nowhere to be found.
Ridiculous. That's disrespectful.
Well,
that's disrespectful.
Well, shit. Shouldn't if Iowa State's in there, shouldn't Oklahoma be in there as well? Maybe they're just completely counting out the whole Big 12 and saying there's no way that they can get in.
Maybe, but I mean, I think with Florida losing, I think it does. So sorry, just want to get back on that. But going back to that, you know, with Michigan, I'd rather have Matt Campbell. I think Matt Campbell's a great coach. Harbaugh I don't know if his heart's not in it or what. But
I honestly think so. It was several weeks ago. Urban Meyer came out and said there's 3 things that make a program bad, and it was bad culture, and I can't remember the third one, but the one that really stuck out to me was trust. Like somebody's lost trust somewhere. Like either the players have lost trust in the coach has lost trust in the players, or coaches and coaches, players and players, et cetera, et cetera. There's something lost. And based off of my personal observations, it looks like they don't want to play for him. Listen, we all know Harbaugh's a weird dude. Like, he's a weird guy. And listen, all that weirdness is just let go if you win. But he's not winning.
We're talking about he hasn't won since he's been at Michigan. Well, he's won games.
He's won games, but he hasn't won anything significant.
But you're talking about a guy that took, and this NFL is a lot different, but he did take San Francisco 49ers to the Super Bowl. He took him to multiple NFC championship games. Like, the guy knows what he's doing. And to Ross's point, I don't know if you can say that he's like not in it. Like, I honestly not in the guy's head.
I think he's in it. Like, I don't think people trust him.
There's something
their fans definitely don't trust him. Their fans are done. They're
the quality of coach that he is, and a lot of people like to give him shit, including me. Like, I think Harbaugh has been terrible at Michigan, and it makes me happy. Like, I think it makes everyone else in the Big Ten happy, except for Michigan fans. But like, I don't quite understand what's going on there, and maybe like I see him on the sideline sometimes. So to Ross's point, maybe sometimes he doesn't look like he's in it, but like, it's just weird how it just hasn't worked. I would not be surprised if Jim Harbaugh goes back to the NFL and is the coach of the Jets and turns that team into I wouldn't say a contender, but like right away. But like, I feel like he would change the culture of a team in the NFL. Like, maybe he's just an NFL coach. Some guys are like that.
Maybe.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Maybe.
But yeah, kind of got away from it. The Notre Dame Clemson game.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
You know, yeah, the big one, the real fun. Holy shit! Here we go. Clemson's got everybody this time, and
they got a little chip now too. Like
they're pissed.
Clemson doesn't usually have a chip because they're usually number 1 in the country. It's like they got.
How many players were they missing against Notre Dame? I know they're missing Lawrence.
Obviously, they're missing Lawrence. They're missing their 5th-year senior inside linebacker, their 4th-year redshirt junior inside linebacker. So their 2 starting inside linebackers are out. Their starting defensive tackle was out, and then their top defensive end was out for the first half because of a targeting call the week before. And then what's his nuts? The monster freshman kid,
Breezy.
Yeah, he got hurt halfway through the game, and he didn't play the second half. So Clemson was missing a lot on the defensive end. And Clemson had 3 fumbles, which is very un-Clemson-like. Granted, got to give some of that to the defense.
ETN did not do anything at all.
No, he did.
Notre Dame did a very good job against ETN.
Yeah, he did well.
Yeah, the first game, that will not try to pronounce his name, but the backup quarterback.
Ukulele.
Yeah,
Ukulele.
Uyangalele.
You can't point everything to say, hey, we had a quarterback that didn't know what the fuck he was doing. He knew what he was doing.
He
was
well.
very good. He's going to be very good in college football.
Yeah,
I think
that's where you got to give Notre Dame a lot more credit. Like, they're a pretty good team. This is the game of the year, obviously. Like, getting Trevor Lawrence back and having a full Clemson squad and going up against Notre Dame, because we'll see how good Notre Dame is.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where, like, it's not so much. I think obviously having Trevor Lawrence does change the game offensively. But
Ross, you had said that if Clemson beats Notre Dame, they both get in. Not if they boat race them.
Well, yeah, if they
get boat raced, no.
Yeah, if
Clemson goes up, Cincinnati,
A&M.
Depends on
maybe Cincinnati.
That Florida-Bama game
well,
goes. Maybe
Cincinnati does play. I mean, Cincinnati's playing Tulsa, who's 24th, but they are playing a ranked team. I mean, if Iowa State goes out and just butt pummels Oklahoma by 30, 40 points, I mean, at that point you got to start thinking Iowa State. We'll see.
That's where Iowa State fans are looking at that less than 1%, and they're like, "So you're saying there's a chance?"
You're going to take a Notre Dame team out of the conversation. It has one loss against a team that they beat already, and put Iowa State, who lost to Louisiana Tech.
Yeah, it all depends on that final score.
And they did lose to Louisiana. Louisiana is the 16th ranked team in the country right now.
Yeah.
I mean, that loss at the first week, we were like, what the hell? And now at the end of the season, you're like, it's not the worst loss in the world.
Nobody
but Notre Dame's only losses against Clemson. I mean, which they beat.
Yeah, Notre Dame's only lost against Clemson that they already beat, and
it's going to be pretty tough to knock Notre Dame out of that conversation. But
I agree. I completely agree with you.
Yeah, I think it's really hard. It'll take if Clemson goes out there and beats them by 40, then it's going to be like, do you belong in there?
Yeah.
Do you belong?
We'll have the conversation.
Because that's what Jimmy's saying. If they go in there and just boat race them by 40, then you're going to go.
It's in the back, and it's going to be in the back of the committee's mind. Well, Clemson didn't have everybody, and it was in South Bend. So
So
which doesn't mean anything because they didn't have fans, but still.
Right. Yeah. We'll see. That game is. I mean, don't get me wrong. My team's playing for a Big 12 championship, and I'm going to watch the hell of that game. But Clemson Notre Dame, I'm super excited about. That one's going to be fun. This will be a lot of fun. So, kind of everything. We've been rolling along. Let's before we get to NFL stuff, we got picks for the week. We're going to do all of the conference championship games with ranked teams in it. So we have 7. Ryan, try to give you a little chance to catch up a little bit.
I'll run it down. We've got.
I got it. I got it right here.
Yeah, I got it right here.
Jimmy, shut up.
Ready to go, man.
We're gonna go one by one. So first off,
listen, I'm a part of this podcast too. Okay,
are you?
Not really.
Hey, COVID man, shut up.
Listen, I got a mug. It's got my name on it.
Oh yeah. So first one, Friday night's game, USC versus the number 2 team in the North, Oregon, because Washington can't play because of COVID. So Oregon stepped in. Yeah. So USC
and my boys up in Boulder lost this weekend too to Utah.
They got smacked pretty good against Utah.
Jerry Rice came and got him.
Yeah, Jerry Rice's son.
So first game we got, guys, USC Oregon. USC is a 3.5 point favorite. Friday night game. I mean, not the most exciting game, but it's a decent one to watch on Friday night.
Yeah.
Jim, we'll start with you.
Let me go first because I'm going to grab a beer.
All right, Ryan, go first.
USC.
Any particular reason?
Going against my my old offensive coordinator I keep talking about, but I'm going to pick USC. I'll take the 3. Well, I think USC wins by more than 3.5. I think they win by a touchdown.
Shit, they barely win any game they play. Like 3.5 should be close. They sneak by every damn team they play.
Yeah, we'll go with USC. Hopefully, you guys pick Oregon and USC wins, so I get more inch closer.
I mean, we only got one more. We really only. Well, I mean, we got bowl
bowls.
Games.
We got a bunch of
mathematically,
bowls.
Jimmy, I'm not eliminated yet.
So you're saying there's a chance? You're Iowa State right now, Ryan. You're Iowa State. You got a chance.
Like the Cowboys. The Cowboys have not been mathematically removed from the playoff contention.
We're not talking about them yet.
I've got USC as well. USC being undefeated is kind of a farce. I don't think they're a bad team. I just don't think they're a great team. I think Oregon, yeah, is a very good team. I think they're both pretty good teams. Oregon hasn't played in a while. They got dope uniforms. I don't know. It's 3.5, and USC's been coming back.
Yeah, they've won
winning, so it's either they're going to win by a touchdown or.
Yeah, their 5 games they've played or won. 3 of them they've scored in the last 45 seconds to take the lead.
Yeah.
So every game they've played has been a barn burner, to say the least. So I'm going to go as well with USC. Oregon has got talent all over the field, especially on offense. But when you lose to Oregon State and lose to Cal, that just doesn't scream you're going to beat USC in conference champion.
No.
So I'm going to go with USC. Slovis is playing very well.
They got Amon-Ra St. Brown, who is special.
Yeah, they got a couple good players. So yeah, I'm going to go. Sorry, Ryan, I'm going with USC too.
Yeah, so did I.
You bastards.
So moving on to the kind of not as big games, but conference championships. One little surprising: Louisiana, Coastal Carolina, number 16 versus number 11. Coastal Carolina is a 3.5-point favorite. Jim?
I was not prepared for that. It was Coastal Carolina and who? Sorry?
Louisiana.
Ooh.
The Raging Cajuns. Louisiana is, I'm sorry, right as of right now, they're 19th at 9-1. Coastal Carolina is 13th at 11-0.
And what's the spread again? I'm sorry.
3.5 Carolina.
I like Carolina in this one. I watched them.
First off, they played this game earlier this year. Just Coastal Carolina beat Louisiana 30-27 at Coastal Carolina.
Yeah. So I did not know that they had played earlier this year. So, but that being said, I watched Coastal Carolina go up against a very good BYU in one of those random ones, and they played really well. They're really BYU. It was 2 good teams. It was 2 really good teams, and it was going to come down to which team made the least amount of mistakes. And I watched Coastal Carolina, and they're real tight. They played real clean. It's just, and it's balanced. They kind of reminded me of Iowa State a little bit. This is balanced.
Yeah.
And I like Coastal Carolina to win this one.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Coastal Carolina, the Chanticleers. The Chants. I like them too. I did watch that BYU game. They look they look good all around the football field. I like their quarterback. He does a little bit of it all, throws the ball very well, can also move very well. And yeah, I think the run continues for the Chanticleers.
Cool, going with Louisiana.
You got to try and make up some ground.
I got to make up some ground. I actually like Coastal Carolina. I like where they're at. Who's their cheap shots on their quarterback or BYU? I don't know if we can talk about that.
Yeah. BYU getting picking up and slamming them in the ground. Yeah.
Listen, hey, there might be a discipline thing with the team, but there definitely isn't a physicality and like, hey, we're going to go out there and put it to the other team. And that's kind of why I like Coastal Carolina, but I got to pick Louisiana because
Coastal Carolina. I think right now, kind of what you're saying, Ryan, is their mindset. You put Coastal Carolina on the field with Alabama. Granted, I think Alabama rolls it, but Coastal Carolina will go to play, and they're not.
They're not giving up. They're going to hit. They're going to hit hard, and
they will not be scared walking onto that field.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of the mindset of UCF from a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, they would have got boat raced, but they were still a really good football team.
That's true. Okay, so next one before we get to the Power 5. This one's, I think, interesting. Should have happened 2 weeks in a row. Tulsa, Cincinnati. Cincinnati's a 14-point favorite. This game was actually scheduled to be the last game of the season, and then in the championship, but Cincinnati canceled the last week. Just saying. That's so they didn't have to play Tulsa 2 weeks in a row. But
they're still gonna win.
Cincinnati Cincinnati's a 14-point favorite. I'll go first on this one. I'm actually going to take Tulsa to cover. I don't think they're going to win. But I do, excuse me, I do think they'll cover. Cincinnati is Tulsa is very well-rounded team. I do like them. Their quarterback for Cincy, Jimmy
Josh Ritter.
Ritter, yeah, that's right. I think he's an incredibly guy. The good quarterback. Tulsa has a linebacker that could very well, at the end of it all, win Defensive Player of the Year in the country. And I'm not the only one saying this. There's lots of ESPN guys playing. Watch him. His name's Zaven Collins. Does it all, tackles well, hits well, covers great, has 4 picks, 2 of them returned for touchdowns, forces fumbles, and I think they will have him shadowing Ritter for Cincinnati to kind of keep him in the pocket a little bit better. Again, I do think Cincinnati wins it, but I do think Tulsa will keep it close with their defense and cover the 14 with Cincinnati.
This is 2 really good defenses going at it. And It's going to be interesting to see how Cincinnati's defense, which is actually quite a bit better this year. I was looking up Cincinnati right now in terms of points. They're number 13 in the country, putting up 473 yards a game. Like that's a good Cincinnati offense, which is weird to say considering Luke Fickell, but and they still got an amazing defense. So I got Cincinnati to win and by more than 2 touchdowns. At the very least, 2 touchdowns, obviously.
I'm going to go with you, Jimmy. Ross kind of made a smirk there. You guys listening can't see it, but when Ross mentioned that Cincinnati opted out of this week's game against Tulsa, I mean, obviously you don't want to play 2 teams in same team in a row. Cincinnati's still got a glimmer of playoff hope. I think that they got multiple weeks to prepare for Tulsa. I feel like they're going to go out there and try to run up the score.
Oh, yeah. So I did want to bring it back to the game that I missed out on. First time in over 100 years that the game has not been played. You know, they played through the Spanish flu and everything, but that's beside the point. By the way, the day after the game was supposed to be played, Jim Harbaugh came out and said they had a spirited practice as a full team.
Let it go, Jim.
Yeah, it's fun.
That's it. I'm done with that. Listen, here's the truth of the matter. Ohio State didn't lose to that team up north this week. So,
another Spanish flu reference. Penn State has never gone winless at home since the year.
I saw that. Yeah. I saw the last time was.
Oh, really?
The last pandemic we had was the last time Penn State went winless
at home.
Yeah. Which we didn't. We won.
I was going to say you guys beat Michigan State at home.
Yeah, again.
Because we're the best team in the country. Yep. And so, Ross, I don't know if you heard, but I am gonna go with Cincinnati on this. So it's me and Jimmy versus you on that one.
Yep. Fair enough. I mean, I got to go with the Oklahoma team. So to me, I know you guys are Big Ten, but the least interesting of the Power 5 championship games, minus the Pac-12, because that isn't even really football anymore. Northwestern and Ohio State. Ohio State 20.5-point favorites against Northwestern.
It's ridiculous.
I'm going to go Ohio State, and I would think Ohio State might even double that. They're coming in pissed because people don't think they should be there. Northwestern, like I talked about a little bit before, their schedule and what they've done has not screamed great football team. They have one, and you got to give them credit for being gritty and getting grinding out those wins. But you need more than grit to keep it close against Ohio State. And Ohio State could put points on the board with the best of them. And Northwestern's offense, I don't trust them to put double digits on the board against Ohio State. I think Ohio State smacks them bad.
Yeah, I'm with you, Ross. We'll let Jimmy pick his team here in a second, but yeah, to your point, Northwestern is. To say they're not explosive is kind of understating it. Like they're not an explosive team. They're not going to run with Ohio State. I don't think they get even close. And Ohio State has something to prove. It takes me back to Was that again? Wait, when did Ohio State played in the Big Ten championship and they're fighting for a playoff spot? It was like 3 or 4 years ago.
Wisconsin, and they beat them by 45.
Yeah, and they just beat
49.
the living shit out of them. I kind of see something more along the lines of that, and I feel bad for those Northwestern kids. Hey, there's a wild card, no pun intended, wild card, but there's a chance. You know, they're going to be ready to play. I think Northwestern's going to be ready to play, but what you're going to see is a totally different level of talent on both sides of football.
They'll come to play, and they might keep it close for a quarter.
And then those guys are going to get tired, and then your backup Ohio State guys that are fresh and ready and all that stuff are going to come in.
I think it will be close for maybe a quarter, and then Ohio State bust a 60, 70-yard touchdown, and the Northwestern's go, oh yeah, shit. They're really good.
Yeah, they're really good. Also, we can run the ball a little bit, but we can't really stretch the field, and we're fucked.
Yeah, that's pretty much what's going to happen.
All right, my turn. I said it before. I think Pat Fitzgerald is a very good coach. Every 3 or 4 years, he's got a great team when they're full of seniors and they're full of piss and vinegar. That Midwestern Illinois just anger is going to be there. They're going to bring it. But Ohio State is even more pissed. You guys already said it. I was going to say the exact same thing that you guys said. Ohio State's got something to prove. The other thing is Northwestern's bread and butter on offense. I brought it up that Peyton Ramsey can't really. I mean, he can throw the ball. He's a good game manager. He's a winner. Yeah, he's not great. So, and what is Ohio State's weakness on defense this year? Pass cover.
Yeah,
pass cover. You know what their strength is, obviously, considering I've already given you one side of the coin. Run stopping. They are currently sitting at number 6 in the country in defense against rushing yards, allowing 95 yards a game.
What helps when you only play 3 games a year, Jimmy?
Well, they played 5.
I mean, I didn't say it. You said it.
And listen, even so, that's impressive.
Hey, you know what's more impressive? Oklahoma's better at 88 yards. Boom!
Boom! God,
I'll give you that. Except when it's Iowa State.
Except when it's Iowa State. That's true. Pretty solid.
And the Big 12 doesn't run the ball worth a shit. So
yeah, we have bad.
Well, I mean, they had
Chuba. But yeah, no. Okay.
Well, no. Big 12 runs the ball fine. It's just.
So you taking Ohio State or what?
Hubbard, Oklahoma. Oh yeah, I'm picking Ohio State.
So I have to explain. So if anybody does listen to this, understanding Northwestern, Northwestern has different recruiting standards. They have different academic standards than any other school.
Yep.
Northwestern is always behind the 8 ball when it comes to Big Ten football. Their academic standards at that school are way higher than any other team in the country, and in the Big Ten at least.
The Big Ten at least.
Well,
yeah,
Big Ten's got, I think there's 2 schools actually in the country, Northwestern and actually South Carolina. Most other schools, athletes have a lower ACT or grade point average to get in than normal people. Northwestern and South Carolina do not. They hold the athletes to the exact same standard.
And you mentioned that. I remember when Spurrier went to South Carolina, there were stories about him going to the athletic director or whatever and saying, "Hey,
that's right.
If you guys want to win football games, you got to lower these standards." And they said, "Cool story. Put whatever you can put out on the field. We're not adjusting our standards. You're gonna do with what you can."
Yep.
And
I applaud that. He did all right. To be fair, he did all right. Brought in Jadeveon Clowney.
Yeah, with all that said and done, Northwestern could get peed on. Like, it's be bad. So to me, the second least interesting ever since LSU beat Florida.
Yeah,
I thought this game before the LSU game, I thought University Florida Bama was going to be fire. I was excited. And then Florida went and got beat by a very bad LSU team. When LSU, and not only did they lose to LSU, LSU started a true freshman quarterback. This was his first start of his career.
Yep.
And he went and beat Alabama. Now beat Florida. And if a freshman quarterback could do that,
What's Matt
Jones for
gonna do?
Alabama is going
Mac
to
Jones,
is
Devontae
going to
Smith,
light them
Najee
up.
Harris. Yeah, they've had issues on defense all year.
Yeah. So Bama is a 17-point favorite. I'm going to go with Bama. I do think Florida put some points on the board because Bama's defense has been a little questionable, playing better lately. But Florida does have an explosive offense, like passing game with Kyle Trask, and I don't think you're going to shut Kyle Trask out. He's that good of a player.
When you got Kyle Pitts, they got good receivers too, man.
Yeah, well, Pitts did not play against LSU either.
Right, he sat out. That's for sure. But that's besides the point.
Yeah, that's besides
when you're
the point.
talking Kyle Trask, who's supposed to be Joe Burrow 2.0 this season.
Yeah.
And no. Yeah. Joe Burrow. Yeah. Well, that's a whole other thing, but no.
Yeah. So, I think Florida will put some points on the board because Trask is a talented quarterback, but I think Bama's going to put a half 100 on him.
Jimmy, you're up.
Yeah, same thing. When you've got Alabama, who has 3 people on your offense that you could argue are in the Heisman Trophy finalists. It could be invited. I mean, you're hard pressed to stop them, especially with Florida, like I said, who are having issues on defense in general. And then Alabama's defense did not look good against Ole Miss, but I'll give them a little bit of a pass on that one. It was early. A lot of defenses looked bad early. A lot of traditionally good defense. Like you had teams in the group of 5 that were leading the country in defense because, they were playing lights out against teams that suck, but Alabama was playing pretty good SEC teams. And I think Alabama's defense, which they just continue to recruit, they have a better defense, they have a better offense, and they're going to boat race them. Like you said, I think Kyle Trask puts up points. I don't think they put up as many points as Alabama, though.
I don't think that either. I think Alabama wins, but 17 points is a decent amount of points with an explosive offense like Florida has. Is Kyle Pitts coming back to play, Ross?
I don't know. I didn't see if he was going to play or not.
Even against LSU, and LSU's not good, but that was a close game, came down to the wire. They put up a lot of points. I think Florida, when I say keep it close, I think they keep it within 2 scores and
2 touchdowns.
Alabama wins. Yeah. So if that happens, I think it's made a decent game. I still think Alabama wins, but I'm going to take the 17 points.
Yeah, I think that's not the worst option in the world. I mean, Florida does have.
Also, I want to pick a game opposite you guys.
But
it makes sense.
I don't think it's going to happen. But yeah, looking at it, Florida's number 51 in the country with 384 yards a game. Alabama is sitting at 18, I think it was. With a balanced run and pass game.
Yep.
Oof.
It could get
ugly. Next is the Big 12 championship. Iowa State OU. OU is a 5.5 point favorite.
Okay. I'm going to go first. I think OU wins by 17. And there's not much to say about that. Ross, you could say Iowa State's very good and they're a lot better and they got them playing. OU is rolling and OU is very good right now. And like we said 3 weeks ago, I would put OU up against any team in the country, maybe minus Alabama right now. Like I
don't know if I put anybody against Alabama right now.
Yeah. It'd be a tough sled in there, but OU's playing really well, and I think they go out there and crazier shit has happened. I think OU's out of the playoff picture, but there is some chances, and I don't know. OU always comes to. OU would love nothing more to have a disappointing season capped off by a dominating performance in a Big 12 championship. Like I see OU winning big. At 5.5 points is not enough there.
Yeah, shit. I'm one of them. Starting 0-2 in the conference and ending up a Big 12 championship, I would be stoked.
Yep,
absolutely stoked. Jim.
The fact that OU's defense is playing so much better than they have traditionally in the past, I think Iowa State's offense is still. All they need is 4 yards of play. That's it. 4 yards of play, and they keep your offense off the field. And there is they could still do that. However, that was when Spencer Rattler was not playing great. It was the next week.
That was pre-benching.
Pre-benching. And then since then, he's been playing very good. I haven't paid too close attention, but, putting up points,
right.
and quite a bit more comfortable going into this game. So I've got OU winning probably by 2 or 3 scores. I don't think 3 touchdowns, but 2 touchdowns and a field goal, maybe 3 touchdowns. OU's very and OU. I would like to see it. What's OU in revenge games?
Oh God, we do well.
Yeah.
Well. The problem is, and this is not me bragging, I'm just saying, there's not a lot of revenge games because we don't lose a lot of Big 12 games. There's a reason we've won 6 straight Big 12 championships. We don't lose a lot.
Yeah.
Going up to Columbus was a revenge game. I remember that.
Exactly.
One.
That's exactly what I was going to bring up. Over the past 4 or 5 years, revenge games, they are very good.
Kyler Murray, we lost to Texas, then we went and played him in the Big 12 championship, beat him in the Big 12 championship.
Yep.
Well, and it's not just Oklahoma. Beating a team twice in a season is just...
It's hard.
It's hard, regardless of who you are.
Yeah.
I was hoping I could bait one of you guys into picking Iowa State. Don't get me wrong. Penn State. Iowa State is playing very well, and OU is going to have to show up to play because they are a talented football team. However, Oklahoma, Spencer Rattler is playing much better than he was, like you said, Jimmy, than he did way back when we played Iowa State. Last time we played Iowa State, we did not have Ronnie Perkins, who is arguably the best defensive lineman in the Big 12. And without Ronnie Perkins, we sacked Purdy, I think it was 5 or 6 times.
Yeah.
And now our defensive line's playing a lot better. I think we're going to get after Purdy.
Well, I mean, that didn't have anything to do with it when you're giving the ball to
yeah,
Hall.
well, yeah. You say that, but Purdy still threw the ball for almost 300 yards because they got those big old wide receivers, and they pick on Buki because Buki's 5'10", and they got wide receivers that are 6'6", 6'7", 6'5".
Did they end up putting in those tall DBs you were talking about, the freshmen?
They've started playing those guys a lot more. These freshmen that are 6'2", 6'3", the bigger guys. And then we also didn't have Ramonde Stevenson, which I think is the biggest difference on our offense. He brings a balance to our offense. He can run the ball. Pledger, he's a great changing back. He is not a starting back. I think OU shows up to play, and I think I'm probably going to go by – I think OU wins by 17 or 20
points.
What
I said, Ross.
Listen, we are –
piece of shit.
We're right there, guys.
Yeah, so give me OU, and I think Iowa State might score there at the end to make it look better than it is, but I think OU is going to dominate the game.
Straight up, OU wins. I mean, Iowa State, like you said, Iowa State's both of you guys would need complete chaos, OU in particular, because I have 2 losses. Even with a revenge win.
Even with complete chaos,
OU wins. This will be their Big 12
6th.
The 6th in a row.
Yeah, 6
right?
straight.
And
then we get to play the Cotton Bowl. Okay.
You play the Cotton Bowl, yeah, and leaves the Big 12 out of it, but you guys are like, I don't give a fuck.
Which, also, before we move on to the last one, don't forget, way back, Ryan, you said that you'd put OU against anybody in the country minus Alabama, and I agree with that because Alabama looks just scary.
Yeah.
But way back when, as good as OU's playing, I told you, next year.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody's coming back next year.
Yeah.
Pretty much this entire team. And so next year's going to be great. Don't get me wrong, I'm super happy with what OU's done turning it around.
You might lose Mordecai, but I don't think it's okay.
Well, we're going to lose Mordecai, Perkins, and Ramonde Stevenson. Stevenson is a senior, but he does get the free year. It kind of depends. I don't know if he'll come out or not. Perkins.
Why do you say you're losing Mordecai? He'll just go somewhere
he's
else?
probably going to transfer.
Oh, he's going to transfer.
Okay.
He's not going to start.
Yeah, he's not going to start. And then we got the number 1 quarterback in the country coming in next year.
Cool, cool story, Ross.
Yeah.
Tell me more about it.
Hey,
you would talk recruiting? I mean, Ohio State's really good.
Well, as I say, Tanner Mordecai, if you want a quarterback, Ryan, he's pretty good.
Yeah. Can I throw one thing in there before we get to the last big pick?
If it's about Penn State, then no.
It is not about Penn State.
Okay.
But it is about one of my semi-hometown teams. That wide receiver from North Texas. Do you guys watch any videos on that guy?
I have not.
So take a look at Jaylon Darden for North Texas.
Yeah.
It's a fun video to watch. Just go look at his highlights this year. He is
Barden with a D?
He's a small guy. He's a shifty guy. He's fast.
Darden with a D.
Yeah, he is Bolitnikov Award
Jesus.
finalist.
74 catches, 1,200 yards, 19 touchdowns.
Randomly on my YouTube, there was a video that popped up, said Jaylon Darden would blah, 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 2020 highlight. And I was like, all right, I'll take a look. And I watched it. And I was like, okay, Jesus Christ. Like the guy, and he obviously playing against Stephen F. Austin. And he's playing against, UTSA. UTSA. And he's playing against, UTEP and shit like that. But
small guy, 5'9", 175, but yeah.
Yeah, he's small, but he is Tyreek Hill shifty type of guy, like he is draftable,
Yeah,
anyhow.
I'll check that out. Moving on.
Check it out. I found him, but I can't do this.
Yeah. So last one before we move on to NFL and everything else. The big one we talked about, Notre Dame, Clemson. Clemson is a 10.5-point favorite. Whose turn does it go first? Mine?
Jimmy.
Mine first. Yeah. I'm gonna go Clemson on this one. I don't think it's gonna be No. I think it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be tight. Not that tight,
Well, 11 points isn't tight. Is it incredibly tight?
No. Yeah. It's not incredibly tight. Tight. Well, yeah. It's with all those names that you said were out on defense coming back. It's going to be hard for Notre Dame to move the ball. I mean, they move the ball pretty well. They didn't move it great. They just kind of ground Clemson out, and Clemson was and stopping ETN. If ETN can get moving, then, and you got Trevor Lawrence back, and that's just, I got Clemson on that one. I hate Clemson. I hate them. But I got to pick them. I think they're going to win.
Ross, you're up.
I'm going to go Clemson, and I'm going to go Clemson big. I think Notre Dame ran the ball and controlled the clock a lot in that first game. Don't get me wrong, Ian Book did play very well, but they ran the ball very well. I think with the linebackers and the defensive tackles and the defensive ends, pretty much that front seven is going to be full strength. I don't think Notre Dame is going to have as good of running as they did.
Clemson's coming in pissed.
Yeah, Clemson's coming in pissed. Clemson had 3 fumbles last game, which I do not think they have those turnovers. So when you have 3 turnovers, which is very unlike them, missing half the team, missing your starting quarterback, even though Ukulele played well, they still took them to overtime.
Right.
And it was in South Bend, but whatever, no fans. I think Clemson coming in pissed, knowing that if they lose, they very well might not get in the playoffs.
Yeah.
With one loss A&M team there and a full team, I think Clemson's going to come in and I think they're going to handle their business pretty well.
I'm going to be rooting for Notre Dame pretty hard. I hate Clemson.
I'm like, it's hard for me to say this, but I'm like a pseudo Notre Dame fan, and they get shit on a lot. I know Notre Dame's out of because they don't play in a conference, and they always get shit on when it comes to the playoff picture. And you haven't played anybody, blah blah blah. You get to play USC and whoever every year, and USC's not that good or whatever. I think Notre Dame is good this year, and I think some of the things we talked about earlier. ETN was still playing that game. Their offensive line was healthy. They have a quarterback I'm talking about Clemson here. Clemson their quarterback is very good. That quarterback can start for damn near every other team in the country. He is a stud. They didn't. I am the biggest guy when it comes to Trevor Lawrence saying he is the God's gift to earth, but
yep, he is.
He is, and there is a drop off when it comes to your backup quarterback, but it's not that big. That quarterback can still play. I think Notre Dame plays a game similar to the game that we saw in South Bend earlier in this year. And 10.5 points, to me, that's a lot of points. I think that I have Notre Dame going out and winning this game. And if they don't win, it's going to be close. I think that Notre Dame has a semi-good game plan against Clemson, Lawrence changes things a little bit, but if they're able to shut down ETN the first week or the first time they played, I got a feeling they're going to kind of have a similar game plan. And obviously Clemson's going to adjust and everything. And I'm sure Notre Dame's going to adjust, but I gotta take Notre Dame in this one. 10.5 points is a lot. Even if Notre Dame loses by 3 points, like that's more of the game that I see. I don't see Clemson going out there and smoking them, but we'll see.
Yeah, it was with the defense back, and I understand Notre Dame does look good. Williams, the running back, went for a $140 and 3 touchdowns in the first game. I do not see that happening again against a full strength Clemson.
But can Ian Book? All right, so you take that away. Can Ian Book do what he needs to do?
Can Ian Book
stretch the field?
He threw the ball for 310 and 1 touchdown. Not bad.
Pretty good.
Yeah. So
it wasn't a one avenue attack. Like it wasn't just this one running back at almost 200 yards and 3 touchdowns. It was Ian Book doing his thing too.
Ian Book is
like we talked about. I think a pretty balanced team. Like I don't know what's going to change. How much is it?
I tell you what,
Trevor Lawrence changes a lot, but how much is it going to?
It's the defensive front to me. It's not Trevor. Like Trevor Lawrence does change it, and granted, and I wasn't paying too much attention. I don't know with Ukulele if they were stacking the box to stop ETN and being, hey man, you can try to beat us. I don't know, but you can't do that against Lawrence at all. Yeah. Because if you stack the box, Lawrence is going to torch anybody if you stack the box against them. I think the defensive front, I don't think Notre Dame runs the ball as well. I think with Breezy and the other defense their defensive tackle, I think we'll be able to keep Book more in the pocket.
Just because I pulled it up, and I know Ross is, out of us 3, Ross is the biggest stats guy. Ross looks at stats more than all of us, and to a fault. Once in a while. But Breezy, he's a great player, and he's a true freshman this year. He's going to be a fucking amazing defenseman.
He's going to be a stud.
I mean, but he is averaging less than 2 tackles a game, and he's got 1 sack this year. So, I mean, for him to be he's not the game changer that I see. He might have a good game. And obviously a lot of those stats don't factor in. He might have 15 quarterback hurries, or he might be a game breaker on the defensive line. There's a lot of good defensive ends that don't get the stats, but they
I don't know
push for other guys,
Well, I don't know. And are they with the defensive line? It's really hard because not only that, but I mean, are they putting a tight end on that side? Are they pushing the running back to that side to block it? And the other guys, that's kind of with Chase. Yeah, Chase Young. I mean, obviously when he was at Ohio State, he was getting double, triple, quadruple teams. He still did fantastic.
And
that's the thing with Chase Young. You quadruple team him and he still gets a sack. No matter what, he still gets his stats.
So, but my point is, the thing is, Breezy might not have the stats, but I think
things a little bit. Yeah.
You have to know where he's at.
Yep.
You have to know where he's at when he's on the field. I'm not saying you have to double team him, but you have to know, okay, he's there. He's right there. So we'll see. I think that, to me, Ryan, your point, it's not so much the Lawrence. I think to me, it's the front 7 of Clemson getting healthy and being in there more again than Lawrence. Because you fucking quarterback guy. I'm gonna quit saying his name. He played great. He had great numbers.
It's not hard.
Okay, Jimmy.
I say it all the time.
And Ian Book played great too. The one thing that you're not going to lack motivation on any sides of that field. Notre Dame is motivated to go to the playoffs and to beat Clemson 2 times in a row. Clemson is going to be motivated. If they win, they get a chance to go to the playoffs. They're going to be motivated. I mean, that's by far to me, that's the game of the year, right? I don't.
Right.
So far,
and granted, we'll see what happens this week in the semifinals. But I saw the predictions, and it was. I swear to God, if this fucking happens, I'm gonna be so mad. It was 1 versus 4, Alabama versus Notre Dame. 2 versus 3, Ohio State, Clemson, and they had Alabama and Clemson in the championship. I was like, I swear to fucking God, if this happens again, I'm gonna be so mad.
What was it? It was there have been, and I have to go back and count. It's double digits the amount of teams that have played in the playoff. Yeah. But Alabama and Clemson are the ones who have been the most consistent.
The 4th time, wouldn't it be them playing?
Oh, Alabama's been in it
No, I mean Clemson. This would be fourth time of Clemson, Alabama in the finals if they got there.
If it gets there, yeah. It's so boring.
It is.
Like I used to hate Alabama because they were so good, but now they're to the point where it's like, all right, well, I respect what you're doing because you're doing it consistently, and like with New England, I hated New England, but eventually you're like, well, I mean, so they played it at a certain point, and I respect Alabama. I hate Clemson.
Yeah,
I don't want to respect them.
So they played in 2016, 2017, 2018. Last year, 2019 was obviously LSU, and then the year after that'll be 2020 if they do it. I'm like, yeah, fucking shit, kiss my ass. Ryan, we can't hear you. Ryan, I can't hear you. Can't hear you, Ryan.
Sorry guys. Oh yeah, I was screaming at Jimmy saying this is coming from an Ohio State guy bitching about teams in the playoffs, and we get to see the same teams over and over again. Like,
well, it's not. Yeah, I can't say much either. We've been involved.
I like being the best team 3 times. Hey, it sucks. Alabama and Clemson are usually the best teams in the country, and usually those games are really, really good. I mean, we should. Well,
except for the one year that Clemson just smacked the hell out of them.
That's true.
Yeah,
but I mean, like those are fun games. Like it's. I hate to say it, but it's good to see Ohio State in there because they're a good team every year, and it's fun to see them play Alabama. It's fun to see them play Oklahoma or whoever, I don't mind seeing Clemson and Alabama again because they're 2 top-tier programs, and it's the upper echelon of college football, and it's good to see those guys play against each other.
Yeah, by the way, the only team that Ohio State has lost to in the playoffs is Clemson.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong.
I hate Clemson.
I say this, or say that I'm going to watch that game.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I say I'm tired of it. I will watch Clemson, Alabama again, and I think that'd be if it comes down to that.
I thought you were talking about Clemson, Notre Dame. Probably not.
No offense, Jim, but if it comes down to Clemson, Alabama, I'd bitch and moan. I'm going to watch the game. I'll have it on. But yeah, we're gonna have a fun week of football. Lots of good games this weekend, and then we move into the bowls, and sometimes we get some.
How many bowls we're gonna have? I mean, normally we have way too many.
I saw last thing I saw there was like 8 or 9 that have been canceled. I saw Pitt and BC have declined invitations to bowls.
We talked about that. I don't get it, man.
Projection before last week was Penn State would play North Carolina, but that was before North Carolina smoked Miami.
Yeah, they smacked the crap out of it.
By the way,
that might change a little bit.
And almost
I'd love to see Penn State play Miami again because we kind of have a little bit of a rivalry when it comes to bowl games. And
yeah, you guys are going to get a bowl. I'm 100% positive of it. I did see one, Ryan. The 2 things I saw with Penn State was one was Penn State, West Virginia. Oh, and the other was Penn State, TCU. Against 2 Big 12.
Interesting.
That'd be fun.
Yeah. It should be kind of fun. We'll see the matchups we usually get. Minus college football playoff, a couple good ones. Like I said, if Oklahoma plays Florida, that'd be fun. And like Georgia versus whoever the hell, maybe USC could be kind of fun. So we'll see.
If you guys get to play in the Cotton Bowl, we didn't mention that earlier, but I mean that's a damn near home game for you guys. So
yeah, we travel pretty well too.
Yeah, I mean, you go there every year.
Yes, we do.
Texas is allowing some people into their stadium, so.
Yeah. All right. So moving on from college football, moving on to the NFL. Speaking of NFL real quick, though, I do want to put something in the chat. I don't know if you guys saw this that has been kind of, I don't know if trending around or whatever the word. Have you seen Nick Chubb in high school?
No.
This is him running track. That is his senior year in high school.
God bless America.
Not only that, wait for the next one. Him warming up for that same thing. How high do you think he's jumping here?
He's almost higher than the guy next to him.
Like, what would you do if you lined up against that?
Yeah.
I'd be like, what the fuck is this?
What was it? I saw somebody had posted on Facebook. It's like, imagine being Bill Belichick and you picked Sony Michel ahead of Nick Chubb. I'm like, wow. I mean, Sony Michel had a good year last year, and Nick Chubb was just.
Sony Michel's a good back.
Yeah, 2 good backs, man.
All right, so NFL, I don't got much. I haven't been watching too much.
Nah, me neither.
What are things that we can touch on? The Steelers have, not to pick on Jimmy first, but
Yeah,
Steelers
they-
have been a little
listen,
bit of a.
I'm a Steelers fan, but I'm not crying in my cereal about it.
I could have called this. What was it 5 weeks ago? When did the Steelers play the Cowboys? It was like 4 or 5 weeks ago.
Oh yeah, the Cowboys always pulled it off.
Yeah, that Steelers team did not look very good. Steelers team.
No.
I mean that, and I really think losing Bud Dupree for the year
That's
that
bad.
kind of tipped the scales for the Steelers.
So
They've lost 2 in a row. They were the only undefeated team in the NFL, and
One of the things that they had going for them was their offense, which wasn't dominant, but could score, can move the ball, and get into some rhythm. And now it's like every single one of their receivers is dropping the ball, and they're not getting good protection. It's just pretty bad.
So, kind of a fun fact that I saw, see with the Steelers, talking about Big Ben, and I'm not saying Big Ben's a bad quarterback because he's obviously incredibly good, but Big Ben, when he has thrown the ball 35 times or more, is 51, 49, and 1. When he's thrown the ball less than 35 times, he's 104 and 24.
that's a lot of football games. Holy shit!
That is.
Like,
But I mean,
What was it with, yeah. By the way, we were talking, Ross. You and I were talking about it before. Baker Mayfield just passed Ben Roethlisberger for wins at home in Cleveland.
Yeah, most wins in Cleveland Stadium
as a quarterback. The
most
winningest quarterback in Cleveland history at that stadium was Ben Roethlisberger until Baker Mayfield. Shout out to Cleveland for getting their first winning season since 2007. By the way.
Yeah. And we could jump to that real quick.
Well, hold on. Before we jump into the Cleveland, I want to say I was talking about the Steelers and Big Ben and throwing the ball. I think that's going to be your demise this year because I don't think that Pittsburgh has the running game this year.
No.
To help carry Big Ben and the Steelers in the playoffs. Big Ben's a good quarterback. You're going to get the playoffs, obviously. Maybe win a game or two. But once you get it like deep into the playoffs, play some of the better teams, I think not having a running game is going to really hurt you guys.
Yeah,
I agree.
So to Cleveland, I mean, we could stick to the AFC North here. So Cleveland, I've kind of ragged on Baker all year. We
rag on him.
Did you say kind of ragged on him?
Yeah. So he was pretty awful for a while there during the season.
He did
get a lot of wins. Looks like they've settled him down a little bit. He does get Chubb back. The offense is starting to click the way it did early in the year when he didn't have to do as much. They're losing against Baltimore right now, but he did rattle off 2 in a row, and he's looked good. He looked really good last week. Cleveland is definitely in the playoff picture. It would really help if they win tonight. Kind of doesn't look like it's going to happen, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. But I mean, don't remember the Jets. Looking at the rest of it, Giants are playing better. I will say that. But I think they could. They should win Giants. They should win Jets and the Steelers at the end. So if they lose Baltimore and Pittsburgh, they're going to be at 11-5. 11-5 gets you in the playoffs.
Yeah, they'll be in the playoffs, wild card or not.
You'll get in the playoffs at 11-5.
Yeah, because I mean, the Steelers are still going to get in the playoffs, even though they're struggling right now. Like they've won so many games.
Yeah,
they're just they might sneak into the playoffs or whatever. They might even
watching them against Dallas was hard to watch, but they pulled it out. They were able to score, scrap, and get themselves on the board
against a very bad Dallas team. We'll jump to Dallas in a second, but Dallas is not good.
No, and their strength is defense. It's still defense. You know, they currently have the longest 70 games with a recorded sack. That's nothing to scoff at. That's good stuff. TJ Watt is unreal and very likely going to get Defensive Player of the Year. If not, then he's up there. He's going to be argued.
And losing Bud Dupree is going to put a lot more pressure on
Bud Dupree. Lost, I think, Vince Williams, one of their middle linebackers.
Was Devin Bush? Is he
Devin Bush? Yeah, they lost Devin Bush.
He's gone. He's gone.
Yeah, and they didn't have Joe Hayden last week. He was out with a concussion protocol.
We can jump to the NFC East. Giants and Washington look like as bad as they are. I mean, they look like
and as much as you hate them, Jalen Hurts just took the Eagles and beat the number 1 defense in the NFL.
And he did just get named the starter for next week too. So it looks like the Carson Wentz era, which I've been calling for years now. Like I
saw a couple.
Carson Wentz is not the guy. They signed him a huge contract after his injury year, and I questioned it then, and not just because I hate the Eagles, but I questioned it then, and it is kind of coming.
I saw a post. It was the Eagles failed Carson Wentz, and then I thought to myself, well, Jalen Hurts just beat the number one defense in the NFL with the exact same tools.
Fail Carson Wentz when they won a Super Bowl with his team.
Nick Foles.
Yeah, exactly. With Nick Foles.
I did see something interesting, and who knows? We always try to guess about this shit, and we're always wrong. But they're talking about landing spots for wins. Very interesting one. The New England Patriots
could possibly be a spot. Yeah.
So it'll be interesting how
do something with him.
Yeah. So get with Belichick. I'm not thinking that he's going to go back to the MVP caliber that he was that 3-4 years ago, whatever it was. But I mean, Belichick knows what he's doing, and maybe if he went there, he could rekindle his quarterback, his career. But kind of like we were talking about with Jimmy, I was talking about Haskins, and they're wrong. I hope Haskins has a great year, but there's not many times that a quarterback gets pulled for a majority of the season and then comes back and just tears it up.
No, I know. Yeah.
That's usually a really bad sign, and I think it's like confidence and all sorts of stuff. So I was just talking about Haskins, but like with Wentz, I mean, he might already be shattered. I don't know.
I'm telling you now, he's done. He was done 2 years ago. Like I don't think he's the guy. I don't think Belichick would, unless Belichick can get him for $12 an hour. Like that's the only reason.
He'll get him. Belichick somehow will get him for like a 7th round draft pick.
Yeah. Like maybe he can do something with him. Carson Wentz is not the guy. I think he's proven that year in and year out. Like he had one good year. Not many people had tape on him. It was his year after his rookie year that he was on par to the MVP in the league, and then got hurt. But he's not the guy.
No. But Jalen Hurts, I think, answered a lot of questions. I mean, reading a lot of people, listening to people talk about Hurts going against New Orleans, especially the first one, they're like, oh, he's going to get thrashed. Like, he doesn't have the tools. I don't think Hurts is a consistent starter in the NFL the rest of his career, but he has proven he can be a quarterback in the NFL.
It helps when he can run for over 100 yards. He had 18 carries, 108 yards or something like that. Like, he can run the ball. He was efficient passing. Like, he's not a bad passer.
He's not a bad passer. He's not.
He's got the mental game to be benched at Alabama, to transfer to Oklahoma, to lead that team to a Big 12 championship, like
college football playoff. Yeah.
I never disliked Jalen Hurts. I love the way he played. I never thought he was a great passer. He's still not a great passer. He's really good. He's not a great passer. His bread and butter is his running ability, his escapability.
Right? You should look at the guy we're watching tonight. You should look at
So
Jackson.
I interrupt.
You should look at Jackson and be like, hey, I want to be Jackson. Like,
but
go off that.
Really grew. What made me respect him a lot was when he got benched for Tua the year after they won the national championship against Georgia. Tua came in, won the national championship, and then Jalen Hurts was the backup. And he's like, I'm going to stay here. I'm going to keep playing here. And then what did he do? He had to come in for Tua.
In the SEC championship.
Yeah. And came in and won the game for them.
Saved their ass.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So I gained a lot of respect for him.
Jalen Hurts has got to figure it out. That he's a good kid. He is
got a great head on his shoulder
at all times. Like,
Yeah,
even this year, he sat behind a struggling Carson Wentz and just sat there, kept his mouth shut, and said, "I'm going to come in when they ask me to come in." He comes in and he fucking does his thing.
Yeah, like I said,
there's
Ryan,
no questioning his work ethic. By the way,
I hate the Eagles. Like, I root for Jalen Hurts. Like,
right? Yeah, that's what I was going to say, Ryan. I know you hate the Eagles. I'm really not a fan of them, but not as much as you. But I will root for Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good kid.
So moving on. So Cowboys, not much to say. I mean, they went out and they looked really good against the Bengals without Joe Burrow.
The Bengals are worse.
Cowboys are a shell of themselves at this point. I mean, Andy Dalton has proved to be the best backup quarterback in NFL, in my opinion. Like, it's
Jalen Hurts.
Well, Jalen Hurts has one game.
It's one game. I'll give you that.
Done pretty good. Like, he is he runs the offense. He's confident. He's knows what to do. Like he's been there, done that. Like he's great. I mean, the Cowboys' offensive line is decimated. Like Zeke is
What happened, man?
I don't know. Well, offensive line doesn't help. I mean, literally, it's down to bare bones on the offensive line, so that doesn't help Zeke's case at all. But
well, he got paid, and he's like, all right, well, I'm good.
Yeah. That. Like, hey, we talked about this, so I don't want to rehash this, but maybe it's time to let Zeke go and move on. But
hey, you know what? I told Jimmy, I mean, you can let him go. And there's a guy by the name whose draft stock dropped, named Chuba Hubbard, who's probably going to drop to like the second or third round, who ran for 2,100 yards last year.
And we love like Tony Pollard for the Cowboys is a great player, and he's not saying he's an every down back, but if you give him a little bit of complimentary back to him, like maybe you got something going, you can get rid of Zeke and get rid of that huge contract. But
yeah, so talking about the NFC though, Ryan, kind of want to hit on you because I was with you. We were talking about it, I don't know, like 7 weeks ago, so like the middle of the season. Talking about like who do you see coming out of the NFC? And you were diehard on the Seahawks.
Yeah,
I thought they could too. Seahawks have not been looking very good.
No, they haven't because they went and lost to the Giants.
Giants.
Yeah, well, I think I saw the stat. Like I think in the last 7 weeks, no quarterback, including Carson Wentz, has more turnovers than Russell Wilson. He has 12 turnovers in 7 weeks.
I still think they figured it out. They've been struggling. Who they play this week?
I got it right here. Give me a second. They have got the Redskins.
They played last
the Washington.
They played the Jets.
Okay, they beat them by. Yeah, I did see that. They beat them by like 40 or something.
Yeah, so they finish off. They finish off at Washington, then the Rams, and then at Niners.
Okay, so before we jump to them, the one team in the NFC East we didn't talk about. I mean, I guess we didn't really talk about the Redskins. Redskins are a tough team to beat. They're good. They're good on defense.
Very good on defense. Yeah, especially that defensive line.
But the Giants, one thing I'll say about the Giants, they lack talent because Saquon Barkley's out, their quarterback's out. Like they don't have anybody. That team, I watched them last week, and they are. Joe Judge? Is that his name? The head coach?
Yeah.
Dude, he has got them playing hard. It seems like the system works. Like there's something in New York that's starting to get figured out, and it scares me as a Cowboys fan. But I think the Giants are like starting to figure it out, and even with the lack of talent that they have and all their star players out, like it's the Giants play tough every game, and they're not an easy out for any team in the NFL.
Yeah. So with this, and granted, I'm going to say this, but
And they got a Texas boy playing quarterback for
him. He played one game, but he did win. But I think who this hurts the most right now to me is Saquon Barkley. And the reason is they have not had him for a while, and they're winning. So, not that Saquon Barkley isn't a talent, because he is incredibly talented. He is stupid talented. But they're proving they could win without him right now. So when it comes time for Saquon Barkley's contract, and if he asks for a stupid amount of money, if I'm the Giants, I'd go, nope. Like, you're not going to get that amount of money.
I think Le'Veon Bell and Zeke getting his contract and the year that he got it after him being bad destroyed the running back market.
Yeah. So, okay, you take Zeke, you take Le'Veon Bell, and then you take Saquon Barkley. Which one of these guys are different?
Le'Veon, because he's a head case.
So I'm going to tell you right now, Le'Veon Bell and Zeke Elliott are kind of weirdos. Saquon Barkley is not a weirdo. And
That's true.
I know this. I'm not going to say I know this for a fact, but I know this from experience. Saquon Barkley played at Penn State. He is a different type of kid. He's there for his teammates. He's there to win. He's not saying Le'Veon Bell and Zeke aren't there to do those things, but his priorities are a little bit different. So when it comes to contracts, I don't see Saquon Barkley being a big issue with the Giants.
Yeah, if he asks for a reasonable amount, by all means pay him. But if he has to be like, one of these like $16-17 million a year that some of these running backs are doing, I'd go, no.
Do So right
But
now,
the thing-
do you see Saquon Barkley doing that though? I don't see him doing that.
I don't know. I don't know the guy, and I mean, it's one of those things that sometimes you got to take care of yourself, regardless. He's got to take care of him and his family. And my one thing I said I was going to go back. I say you don't pay Saquon Barkley, and I don't think you do because I just don't like paying running backs at all. But then again, looking at the roster, I don't know who the fuck you do pay because they don't have anybody. So at the same time, I don't know who you pay, minus Daniel Jones in the future. But I mean, the Giants. I mean, I saw them win, and I had to Alfred Morris was scoring a touchdown the other day. I was like, I didn't even know that dude's still alive.
Damn, dude.
Yeah, he did. He got a touchdown. I mean, that was his first touchdown since 2018 or 16 or something like that.
Yeah, but I was just kind of like, you're still alive? Okay.
that Giants team, if Saquon's on that team, this is Joe Judge's first year, and the same kind of thing with Penn State. It takes a while for the system to start working, for the team to start buying into whatever's happening. I see that team buying in. Giants are playing tough. I think they only get better when Saquon Barkley players to buy in. Saquon Barkley and Daniel Jones come back. I think they're heading in the right direction. Giants are on an upward slope, and I think it's a good slope for them.
I'd agree with that. I think they are on the upward slope, and I like what they're seeing. I mean, honestly, minus the Cowboys because they're completely hurt, so it's not on them. But I mean, Redskins have been playing very well lately. The Giants look like they've got some stuff figured out. The Eagles, got Hurts in there, just beat the Granted, they're not going to turn around this year, but talking about building blocks going into next year, I'm like, the NFC East next year might turn some heads.
Might be a tough division.
Yeah.
Patriots. So Patriots go out and blow out the. They won by 40. Who'd they beat by 40 2 weeks ago?
Oh God, who? I'm pulling it up. The Chargers, 45-0.
Yeah, beat them 45-0. And then they come out the next week and play
they lay an egg. The Rams.
Yeah, the Rams and completely lay an egg. Which I think to your point, Ross, it's going to be a tough division for Seattle. The Rams are playing very well.
The Rams are playing well. I think in the NFC, the Saints and the Packers are playing.
Oh yeah, Packers have been on one. Yeah. We were giving Aaron Rodgers shit. We were giving Aaron Rodgers shit for sitting out a blowout late, and they've just been rattling off wins.
Yeah,
granted, the NFC North is not hard, but they're still putting wins together.
Yeah, looking at the playoffs and moving into the playoffs, and don't get me wrong, Breeze is coming back. Obviously, I mean, the thing is, he doesn't have to right now because they're still winning, so he can rest, which is good for him. But going into the playoffs, I don't. Minus
Packers already clinched.
Minus Patrick Mahomes, I don't think there's a quarterback in the NFL I trust more than Aaron Rodgers right now going into the playoffs. He is playing lights frickin' out.
Yeah, pretty good.
He's thrown for 3,700 yards and 39 touchdowns. 39 touchdowns. Good God. So yeah, I think Seahawks are good. They're obviously going to make the playoffs, but I mean, they might win. I think Packers and Saints are going to.
I'll tell you what, Packers are quietly a great team.
Yeah, they're playing well
because they've got a running back. Jones, their running back, is good. He is a running back, and still got Devontae Adams, and Aaron Rodgers is on a hippie calm. Just strolling through the park,
By the way,
I'll say for you.
The division they play in. I mean, Lions are bad. Minnesota's not very good, and Chicago's not very good. So I mean, it's pretty weak division.
On the side note, Aaron Rodgers has one of the funniest commercials on TV right now. When they're on the golf course, he's like, "Hey, thanks for that Aaron Rodgers rate." He goes, "Oh, there's not an Aaron Rodgers rate." He goes, "Oh." He pulls out his driver. And then smacks the ball on a par 5 utility. It goes in the hole. He goes, "Was that far? No one on Rodgers rate, huh?" And just walks off and he's like, "Oh, Jesus Christ!" It's a great commercial. And to Ryan's point, their division is bad, but I mean, they did beat the Saints when the Saints had Drew Brees.
Yeah.
I think they're good, man.
I don't have a whole lot of insight into the NFL right now, other than Pittsburgh, but not even so much that. We've talked about this. I'm not as interested in the NFL as I used to be.
I'm not either. I mean, I kind of on Sunday, since I didn't have school, when I laid down for a nap, I'd put the football on in the background. And obviously on Thanksgiving, I watch football.
Hey.
So Well, Ryan's gone. Then we'll move on.
Yeah, let's move on.
A little bit. I know you're not as interested, so I'll just kind of talk real quick. NBA is back, which is a month and a half after the season ended, which is ridiculous.
Even and I was giving you a hard time when you were talking about it's like the season ended a month and a half ago, and I'm like, I know. It's like the truth of the matter is it's preseason 1, 2. Megastars are not even going to be playing until the beginning of the year anyway. So,
even then, I think a lot of them said they're going to sit out till January, like LeBron James, and they were going to sit out till January. I will say, looking at it, the Houston Rockets right now are an absolute shit show.
Yeah.
They have traded Westbrook for John Wall, and even after that trade, James Harden said he's not impressed and wants to trade anyways. He still wants out. I know we kind of dog on the family mainly because the dad's a douche. I did watch bits and pieces and highlights of LaMelo Ball in his first game. He's fun. He is really fun to watch. Bigger guy, bigger than his brother. Saw him grab a board, take off down the court, look right behind the back, right the dude for a dunk. And stepped away from his dad's big baller brand. Signed with, I think it's Puma. Actually got Puma. A real Puma's up and coming on the NBA shoes, but he seems to have a good head on his shoulders compared to his dad.
Brothers, like Lonzo is not a piece of shit.
No, Lonzo's not a piece of shit. Talent-wise, Lonzo's a good starter in the NBA. I think LaMelo could be pretty damn good.
Yeah, his dad's an asshole though.
Yeah, he is an asshole. So yeah, we'll see what happens in the NBA. The Lakers are going to win it all. I'm just going to say it now. They've signed everybody and their fucking cat.
Kind of interested to see what happens in Brooklyn.
Yeah, they did play their first game. KD and Kyrie played their first game last night.
Good, right?
Yeah, KD looked like he hasn't missed a game. Like didn't just miss a full season. He looked like the KD of old. The Slim Reaper. One thing I will say was pretty funny is talking about, a lot of people talk about the Durant-Westbrook rivalry and that and everything. And
they're both in the East now.
Well, a lot of that has to do with, Westbrook on the court. And Ryan, you've talked about it with Westbrook, and his thought process is, I got no friends on the court, like, screw you all. And they asked Durant and Westbrook about it, and both of them were like, dude, I love that dude. Like, this is all media. This is nothing else. And then they showed them after the game because the Nets played the Wizards last night. Westbrook didn't play. And after the game, literally KD and Westbrook were like hugging, laughing their ass off for a good, 5-10 minute conversation. Like, it's all right. Put that to sleep, guys. It's just ridiculous. And Ryan, your boy did come back and play his first preseason, Steph Curry. And he looks like he hasn't missed a step. Like he was draining threes.
I saw some pictures of him during the offseason. Apparently, he's gotten thicker too.
Yeah, I think he put on some weight. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. In NBA, yeah, like a lot of the ring chasers, signed with LA and the Lakers, and they got the sixth man of the year. They got the sixth man of the year runner-up as well, and then they got Mark Gasol from Grizzlies, and now I don't know if you saw Pau Gasol has actually thought about coming back and playing for the Lakers and playing with
his brother.
Yeah,
that'd be dope.
They want to.
Yeah, so I was just just watching that lineup that just won an NBA championship, just get better and better, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, okay, just give it the championship. So
yeah, Pistons still suck.
Yeah, they do.
Didn't do anything.
So yeah, NBA it's kicked off. College basketball has been interesting. I'm sure you guys haven't paid attention. There's been a lot of teams, like top-notch teams, losing. Kentucky's 1-5 to start the season. Worst start since the 60s or some shit like that. Duke's lost 2 games at home against non-conference opponents. It's a weird season so far.
State beat Notre Dame, who's 1-2, but still.
Hey, right now at this point, it's a win's a win, and we'll see what happens. Hopefully, we get to have the big dance this year.
I don't see why they can't. That all stopped right at the beginning of everything, and considering everything that the NBA learned, and there shouldn't be any reason. Plus, I saw today vaccines have been being administered. So
yeah, I saw that the state of Oklahoma is going to get their first batch in on the 16th. So on Wednesday,
yeah,
we're going to get ours.
Yeah, I think Texas already got theirs.
On that note, I meant to bring this up. I want to tip my hat. Kick-ass job, Roger Goodell, NFL commissioner. He has come out and said, with the vaccines coming up, like even with the Super Bowl and everything, he said NFL players will get no special treatment with the vaccine just because of the Super Bowl or the season. They will wait in line just like every other person, and they'll get it when they get it. Yep. And I was like, that's awesome.
Here's the truth. Here's the truth. They probably don't need it.
That's very true. Very true.
The players. Well, the coaches. Some of those guys are quite a bit older. I'm thinking of the big fella from Cleveland from a couple of years ago, who's on Hard Knocks. He was great. But
Freddie Kitchens.
No.
Oh no,
it was the offensive line coach. Said his belly go up. He was great. He was great.
But yeah, no, I want to tip my hat to Roger Goodell. That's pretty awesome. Like, a lot of people
fair. I like that.
Athletes get special treatment and stuff, and Goodell came out and said, "Nope,
no,
you ain't getting. Yeah, you're gonna get it when everybody else gets it."
Yeah, I'm wondering when it's gonna get. When we're gonna get it, like I'm gonna be forced to get it. Like I see all these people, I'm not taking it. I'm like, well, I don't have a choice. So,
well, Nicole asked, Nicole was talking to her mom, and she was like, "Well, you guys gonna get the vaccine?" And she was like, "Well, Ross was in the military, and he's been injected with anything and everything, so he'll be fine. He can get the vaccine, and his body will be fine." And I was like, "Yeah, that's probably accurate. I've got a lot of shit like shots in my life." When I was talking to somebody like Chris Nutt, who's a captain here at Tinker, one of my friends, I was like, when do you guys get it? I was like, because the military is either going to be first or you be fucking last. That's probably the way it's going to go. I don't know which it is, which will be one of the last. And we'll see. So, I think that's
give it to the people who need it first.
Right. First responders. My sister's actually, because I think she's going to be in the first batch.
Like people like your sister, people like my dad.
Yeah, my sister. Well, because my sister's got an autoimmune, and she's a first responder. She's a medic that goes into older people's houses. So those combined, she's gonna be one of the first. So she was like, "Fuck, I'll tell you how it goes." I don't know. Oh, all right.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's kind of all I got.
I don't have anything. Real quick, the Cleveland Indians are no more.
Oh yeah,
they have come out and they've said that they are no longer going to be the Indians. They have not said what they're going to be yet.
You're going to keep it till 2021.
I don't care.
Yeah.
They don't even like they have two jerseys.
Just be the Cleveland baseball team and just leave the C.
Oh no. Listen. I don't like the idea of no, Spiders is fucking stupid. I don't like the idea of getting rid of something that is over 100 years old because all of a sudden other people are upset about it for other people. But at the same time, I can't control it. So, I'm still going to be a Cleveland Indians fan. I still call it Jacobs Field. I know it came down to money. That's plain and simple.
Right. 100%.
But it's gonna cost them. There's going to be a lot of people who are going to boycott. I won't be one of them. I'm not going to buy their gear because they're probably going to pick something stupid like the Spiders.
I'll be laughed so hard if they pick Spiders.
And the only reason people are bringing that up is because way back in the day, that was what the baseball team was called in Cleveland, the Cleveland Spiders, before they moved to the Indians. And the reason they chose the Indians is because Boston had just transitioned to the Braves, and that was a big thing. Like everybody was changing their names to that, so they went Indians. And I never thought Indians was offensive. Chief Wahoo was probably pretty offensive for some people, but
he might.
That's okay. You can move on from that. But Indians was never. I never thought it was derogatory. People are saying like it's time. It's just because Columbus didn't know where he was. I'm like, yeah, but that's not derogatory. That's
anyhow,
whatever.
Good luck.
Like I said,
I do want to say
baseball team.
Real quick, I do want to say. Yeah. Hey, haha. Texas Longhorns, you bastards! I told you weren't getting Urban Meyer. You were idiots for thinking you were going to get him.
No, that's not.
And now you're stuck with a coach who knows that he's going to get fired.
Yeah.
That's not going to bode well, especially for recruiting. So hook 'em, boys. Go get them.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Oh, Ryan, Trace McSorley's in. Just saying.
Oh
Is
shit! Did they pull Lamar?
Yeah. No, Lamar got hurt.
Oh,
He's actually jogging through the tunnel now. But Trace McSorley's in at quarterback.
Trace mix
Ahead of
Squeezy show.
RG3. Was RG3 on the
RG3.
COVID list?
No, yeah, he's hurt.
Yeah,
Is he again?
Did a
That
hand
guy,
here.
man.
Did a hand here or
That
something.
fucking guy.
All right.
Well,
Well, let's
all
wrap
right.
this up, Ross.
Yeah.
Send us out.
Sends out our bitches. No, good talk. Got a lot of good football coming up. Hopefully, we're gonna have a lot to talk about next week.
Yep.
Everybody stay safe. Like Jimmy said, to kind of get a little bit away from sports for a second. The vaccine is coming. Everybody, please be safe.
Yeah.
We're on the downhill. We're on the downhill slide, guys. We're about to be back to normal. Everybody, be safe for the love of God. Just get through this last couple months, and then we can go watch football again in person
Yeah, that'd be great.
and drink a beer.
All right, boys.
Yeah. Hey, give us a
There's-
follow on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Ross, you've been running the Twitter lately, right?
I have been tweeting. Yeah.
All right. Anyway, yeah. All right. That's it. Bye.
See ya.
Later, dudes.